Hey guys, welcome back to the Little Farm in the Forest. My name is Kate and I am your fellow millennial Meemaw, and we are here with what's left of my garden, which is our Luffa trellis. We are wrapping up the garden year here in the hills of southern Indiana, and I am in garden zone 6B. But we're kind of in a ridge in the hills, and I think we're on the cusp of 6A. And tonight might be our first frost. They're saying it's 36, but they just issued a freeze warning, and I have been trying to grow Luffa for 7 years. And every time I try, I either move states or something happens to my plants, like wildlife eats them or they get stunted or I kill them. So this year I got 3 vines to fruit and produce, and I was really trying to have them dry on the vine so I didn't have to go through this processing thing, because I've never done it before and I don't know how to do it. So this is my first year not only growing Luffa to produce something, but also having to process it into sponges. If you didn't know, the little Luffa bath sponges, they're not from the ocean. They're actually in the squash family. And when they're smaller, you can eat them just like zucchini. But when you let them get bigger, they get like very fibrous, and then you can process them into sponges. My thought process was to, if I had enough, make little nesting pads for our chicken coop if we got chickens next year. But now we don't know if we're going to do chickens next year, but I will still use these to clean around the house. You can use them, and instead of buying the plastic loofahs or the sea sponge loofahs, you can just use these. And I am very excited. I have never gotten to do this. I have been waiting and waiting. This has been such a lesson in patience for me. And I am not a very patient person. Every day since April, since I have put these in the ground as a little bitty seedling, I have ran out here and I have checked for flowers, and I have checked for sponges, and I have meticulously kept up with squash bugs, which surprisingly did not affect this at all. They wanted nothing to do with them. And now, even though I'm sad that we're saying goodbye to the garden for 2025 and we're not doing a fall garden outside of a few garlic plants, I'm so tired and I am ready for winter, and I am ready for the season of rest. And the end is in sight, because this and just a few more tomatoes are all I have left to process. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick these, and then I'm gonna take you guys inside and we're gonna talk about how I'm gonna try to process them and hopefully get sponges. So I'll see you guys back in a minute. Okay, I lost count of how many Luffa I got, but I have a whole cart full. So I'm going to see you guys back inside. We're gonna do a head count and work on processing them. I'm doing them a couple different ways, and I will explain that in a little bit. Hey guys. All right, we are inside. I picked 27 Luffas, and that is more than I could dream of, and I'm very excited about this. So it's gonna be hard to see where I'm standing, and I piled them up there so you can see it. Ignore the weird white walls. We are taking the summer, or the fall and the winter, to do some home renovations. I picked one a couple of weeks ago, and I did like the oven method because it was it wasn't super dry, but I could tell that it had developed the fiber. And so I got a little bit of a sponge. You can see it still kind of had its core in there, like it still had a lot of seeds that were attached to essentially the meat of the Luffa. But I want really big sheets so I can cut them to the size I want. And I would like to sew them into little squares, and I want to make little cosmetic sponges. I want to make soap and like dip them in there. And they're very rough, but they do soften up quite a bit when you get them wet. And I'm very excited for this, but I'm so scared I'm gonna mess it up. But this is my first year doing it, so I'm trying to give myself some grace. But that's a lot of Luffa, and I really don't wanna mess it up. So I found one that looks like, I can't tell if like it was bug damage or if it was starting to turn brown and dry out on the vine. But when I squeezed it, it kind of cracked a little bit. And everything I have watched, they talk about you don't want them feeling like rock hard, and you don't want them feeling too soft. You want them to sound like knuckles cracking, but none of mine are doing that. All of mine are pretty hard. But see this one, and I don't know if that's bug damage or if it was starting to do the dry out thing. But when I squeeze it, it cracks a little bit. So I'm gonna take a serrated bread knife and I'm gonna cut off like the ends and see if I can get an idea of what I'm working with. See, I don't know. It might be too young because this one's quite soft compared to some of the other ones. I don't know. See, I don't know. This one might have not been ready. This might actually just be some bug damage. I'm still gonna pop this one in the dehydrator and see what happens because when they're green like this, they're like impossible to peel. I don't know. We're gonna see what we can do with this one. I'm gonna find like a bigger one that's much harder. Okay, I'm gonna do this one because it's damaged. So you can see where it was kind of starting to turn. Maybe not in the sliding. This end is a little more yellow where this is more green. This one got a little damaged. So they have like these fibrous strings. I'm gonna try to pull. They also have like goo. They have like this jelly substance. See, I don't know. I'm gonna try dehydrating these. I saw somebody say do it at 225 and it takes a few hours and then they're easier to peel and it kind of separates the like edible part from the fibrous part. So I'm gonna have hope because I really don't want to lose these. And if I could have left them, I would have. If I was not scared, my issue is if they would have froze, if our frost would have actually came through tonight, if they would have froze, then they would have defrosted when I got warm, and then they could potentially mold and like mildew inside, and then I lose the whole crop, and that's why I pulled them early. So the only thing I can do is pop these in the oven and try. I'm going to maybe slice them a little bit along like these little veins, like just a little bit to let the steam out, and then maybe see if once it starts drying out, if I can see the sponge. Because that's kind of what happened last time when you don't want to cut too deep because you don't want to cut through it. But last time, that's kind of what I did was I sort of just followed one of the little fiber lines just to let the steam escape and kind of help it dehydrate in the oven. But you don't want to cut it too deep because your fiber's in there. Supposedly, I don't know, I'm not seeing it, but it's supposed to be in there. So I have 2 of these really big baking sheets. And I'm just gonna put as many as I can on these sheets and pop them in the oven. I actually probably should turn the oven on. Okay. So I have it on 225, and then I'm just gonna put like these little wire racks on them just to kind of keep them from touching the hot metal. Like, well, that doesn't make sense because they're wire racks. Just kind of keep them up off. I don't know, that's what she did. So I'm just kind of following a few videos that I watched. This one might be okay, I don't know. We're gonna find out together. We're gonna go ahead and just give this a good slice, just a little bit through the rind. Because when I did that last time and I put them in the oven to start dehydrating, when I got this little sponge, I could tell if it had developed the fiber or not once it dried out and some of the white had kind of went away. But ideally you want them brown and like dried on the vine and you should be able to like crunch them. But I don't think my growing season is long enough. I think, well, okay. We might be in a microclimate up here and we've had a very odd year weather-wise. And I think if we would not have had such a cool spring and the plants wouldn't have stunted and taken until like June or July to come into their own, I think we're right on the cusp where I can actually grow these and let them dry out on the vine, but it's probably gonna be a gamble year to year. We had frost up until May and our last frost date is supposed to be like April 20th, 25th. And when Derby came through this year, they were talking about a possible frost in our area. So we had a very cold spring, a very wet spring, and a very late frost. So they survived, but I think that's kind of what, I think that kind of took away some time for them to dry on the vine. And then I'm experimenting with, after I pick some of these, I'm not gonna do all of these in the oven. I'm experimenting with like, can I just leave them while they store a little bit and start drying out on their own now that they're detached from the vine? Or is it something like I have to process? I've had one sitting on the counter for a couple of weeks, but unfortunately it's mixed in and I forgot to separate it. I'm just gonna keep chopping these up. Oh, this one has dark seeds. Oh, this one might be okay. So the seeds are usually black. Yeah, okay. And what I've been finding is when I have picked a couple of these, they were way too underdeveloped and the seeds were white. See, okay, you can kind of see, if you've ever bought a loofah from the store, like in the bath section, those 3 little sponge things, basically that'll get hollowed out and you're left with the sponge. That's just like what used to be edible. From my understanding, once they get bigger than this big, they're not very good. So, okay, that looks promising because I can definitely see like a development of the fiber. But I was watching one girl who, I should probably pay attention to what I'm doing. She just cut hers all the way through, not all the way through, but she basically cut it long ways into a big sheet. And you could see hers were fibrous. So I think hers were just in a different stage than mine were, ripeness wise. But I have a good feeling about this one. Oh yeah, I can kind of feel it. Okay, might not be able to see it, but I kind of poked into it and you can kind of see that rough, spongy fiber. That's exciting. That's what I want to see. Oh, you know what though? No, they should fit. I think I'm just gonna have to trim. So some of these are obviously longer than my oven, so I'm gonna have to either chop them in half or trim quite a bit of them off, which I'm willing to sacrifice some. But it is normal for them to get like over 2 feet long when like you're trying to develop them into sponges. So I did not take into account that I would actually have to split some of these up. So I'm just gonna get what I can onto the trays and into the oven. And then I'm gonna do a follow-up video with how the oven dehydration method came out. And I'm hoping I get some more of this. This was my first one and I think I did okay. I don't know if I'll be able to get this out. I think it was just a little too immature. So I'll probably use this for dishes or something. My goal is I would like to do the little round ones, you know, that you buy from the store and then dip half of it in soap and then just have like little soap loofahs ready to go. And then they're completely compostable and they don't have microplastics. That's exciting. I don't know if it's coming through on camera how excited I am, but I've been trying to do this for 7 years and I just can't believe I actually, at least I got something. Even if this is all I get, I'll be happy. My little sponge. See, this guy started turning yellow a little bit, so he might be okay. But he is quite long. All right, we're gonna chop off quite a bit of him actually. Yeah, having a serrated knife definitely helps. Okay. But I can feel the fiber. It's really cool, but I think if they had some more time and I wasn't worried about the freeze, we would definitely see more of the fiber. So again, I'm just gonna cut a little bit of a slit just so they don't explode. But I'm trying not to cut, too deep because I don't wanna ruin them. And see, her fiber was tan. Mine didn't turn tan until after I dried it. That's why I think these are actually a little too early to pick. Try to stick with some that are in the same size range so they all kind of dehydrate at the same rate, but we'll see. Yeah, I can feel, it's weird because it doesn't look like a sponge, but you can feel the fiber separate from the seeds and the like pulp. All right, I got 4 on one tray, so I'll probably do 4 per tray. They actually have quite a tough rind. I'm surprised. It's almost like trying to cut a pumpkin. One there. This is fascinating. It's crazy to think that if you just let them get big, they turn into a sponge. But if you pick them while they're young, you can eat them like a zucchini. So they're like a multi-purpose thing. It would be really cool if you could eat them at this size and they would store like a winter squash, but I don't think anything can be perfect in this world. Okay. I find it's easier to score these with like a regular knife and then slice them with the serrated bread knife. So you're gonna need 2 knives for this. Now, I guess theoretically, if I would have done this right and they would have been able to dry on the vine, I wouldn't need any knives. I could just split them open. Maybe this one. This one looks about the same size. This is so trippy. Sorry, I know you guys are kind of close this way, but if I went long ways, I don't think you'd be able to hear me. And I'm lazy and I haven't gotten a microphone yet. This is wild. Okay. The oven's up to temperature. I'm gonna pop them in and then I'm gonna follow up with you guys and see how they do. Probably tomorrow. It might take a couple days. Some of these are really big and I don't know how long it's gonna take. This one that I did was a really, really long one, but it wasn't developed all the way and I ended up having to throw away some of it and it took quite a few hours. So we're just gonna let these go. I may have to let them go overnight, but hopefully not. So I'll follow up with you guys and see you guys later. Bye.